Back on the record, the time is approximately 3:24 p.m.
Welcome back. So you understand that you're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I wanted to pick up and ask a little bit about the point of sale system. You mentioned Audrey and you mentioned Bless. Was there a predecessor to Audrey?
What do you mean by predecessor?
Well, was something used? You mentioned that, well, in particular, was there a point of sale system that IFRs could use prior to Audrey?
The only thing I'm aware of is Audrey was the point of sale and the wholesale platform for purchasing.
From LuLaRoe's very beginning.
You broke up there.
From the very beginning of LuLaRoe?
All I knew was the Audrey system that I inherited. I'm not aware of any other systems before Audrey.
Okay, and I wanted to clarify something that I'm a little confused about. So I'm gonna have you pull out one of the documents that we sent over and that should have been printed. This is the Bates number for this is LLR-WA 00175248. It's probably in the middle of the stack. I will pull up a copy to show you on the screen as well.
Will this be 287?
Yes.
288, isn't it? I thought we had a 287. I could be wrong.
I don't have one in the transcript.
So I think I have 286 as the amended notice, and I don't think I've used anything else.
Okay. What was the date number on this one?
It ends with 175248. It's probably 1/3 into the stack in terms of the ordering we sent over.
Got it. Yeah,
Okay, so
One second. The opponent's got to get his copy.
This one.
Yep.
Okay.
He's got it.
great.
Okay.
I'll share my screen just so we all can confirm we're looking at the same thing. So earlier I'd asked a little bit about whether or not there were portals in Audrey that were called Build and Bless, and I just wanted to see if this jogs your memory at all. If you look at this email, it refers to both a new Bless point of sale system and a current Audrey Bless system. I was wondering if there's anything you can talk about in terms of the distinction between those two similarly named things.
I mean, the name, again, it was just a marketing name. That's all I can refer to. Bless was just a marketing name to the retail function, the point of sale. So during this, if it's early 2017, we had a mix of retailers still using Audrey from a retailer component, and then new retailers that were being onboarded going directly into the new platform.
I see.
So the term Bless is just the point of sale.
Okay. Does LuLaRoe sell any clothing through its website?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by website? The only website we have is our wholesale platform where retailers purchase inventory.
Okay, so there's no way for an IFR to go outside of that platform and buy through the website.
I didn't hear the end of that.
And there's no way for an IFR to go outside of that platform and buy directly using the website. Is that right?
The only, just to be clear, the IFR will have a dedicated account to their back office just to purchase inventory. That's the only platform that we sell inventory.
To your knowledge, has LuLaRoe ever sold directly to the public rather than to IFRs who then sell to the public?
No.
Does LuLaRoe retain or hire a vendor that runs its website?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, again, the only website that I'm aware of is the Exigo website for purchasing inventory.
Okay, so I'm talking about website a little bit more broadly. So if I go to LuLaRoe.com, there's a website, right?
That's our main marketing website. Yes, that has product knowledge. Yes,
That has what?
product knowledge, meaning our catalog.
Who runs that website?
Marketing.
Does LuLaRoe, I don't want to say host, but does LuLaRoe runs it and hosts it itself? It doesn't hire someone else to do that?
Objection form.
LuLaRoe, it's just a website managed. It's hosted through Squarespace. That's the account or the service provider, but it's managed by marketing. The intent of the main website is the company brand and the product, the collection page. That's and pretty much anything related to the company. There's no shopping cart in our main website.
So I've heard of something called the wallet as being another name for the LuLaRoe retailer debit card. Is that right?
The retailer card is the only card that retailers have that managed through email.
That what?
Managed through EML payments.
And is that sometimes referred to as, quote, the wallet? End quote?
I've never heard the term wallet. I've always heard the term retailer card, and that's how I refer it to.
Joe, since you brought that card up, we had wanted to clarify the record on one issue. It had been previously described as a credit card. But the email card, you asked if it was a credit.
The LuLaRoe retailer card, right? Do you want to offer a clarification on previous testimony, Mr. Lopez?
Yes, so it's when I meant credit card, it's a debit card. It's even though it's a MasterCard branded card, it doesn't mean that the account holder opens a credit amount, like a normal credit card. It's strictly a debit card that you can load money by your sales, and it can be unloaded via ATM or through their portal, but it's not where you can just open a credit card like a credit balance.
Right. You can't, okay, I understand. Do IFRs automatically receive a LuLaRoe retailer card when they join?
Yes, it's through their merchant. Once they fill out the merchant agreement, and as they become a retailer and they fill out the merchant agreement, they will receive the physical card by mail, and they'll have access to the point of sale with their credentials to begin selling their goods to the consumer.
And as part of that merchant agreement, do they have to apply for the card?
No, it's all they're applying for is to open a merchant account.
Do you know if in connection with opening that merchant account, a credit check is run on the IFR?
Yes, there is a hard credit check. It's in the language of the merchant agreement.
Okay. So if you turn the page on Exhibit 287, it actually, speaking of application process,
Which page?
It's the next, second page, you know?
Oh, okay. This one. Okay.
so this document does use the term, so it does use the term credit card. Is that-
You're breaking up.
Sorry, this document does use the term credit card. Is that just a general term credit card, but it's really referring to the debit card as you've described?
This term is for credit card processing. So basically, it's opening a merchant account to process credit cards.
Ah, I see. Other credit cards.
Exactly.
Credit cards. Okay. And if you look at the little graphic on the second page, it has the abbreviations NMA. I think it says National Merchants Alliance. What is that?
That is part of retail success. So that's the form. That's the encrypted form that gets pushed to First American Payments. So the NMA is just it's with retail success, but it's just a form. All it was is a form. I'm trying to understand why the logo's there, but this form is driven by First American Payments.
Okay, you can put that document aside.
Okay.
So when IFRs are purchasing in Exego, is there any limit on how much they can purchase wholesale from LuLaRoe at one time?
No, there's no limit. It's whatever's available is what they can purchase.
And you mentioned, IFRs can go into a platform, and that platform is the mechanism by which they buy product from LuLaRoe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that platform Exigo?
Yes, that's their back office.
Okay. So Exigo might also be referred to as back office.
Yes.
And if I'm an IFR and I'm in Exigo and I'm looking around, do I see quantities of things that are available and how much is available to purchase?
All you will see is the styles and sizes that are available. It doesn't display how many units are indeed available. If it's sold out, it'll just be grayed out where you can't enter a number to purchase.
If there are hypothetically 7 and I try to buy 10, will it automatically kind of drop my order down to 7?
No, it will. That's a good question. I'm not sure. It could be. It may just default down to 7, whatever's available, but I can't recall.
And prior to my making hypothetically, if I am an IFR, before I place an order, does Exigo or the system ask me any questions about my current inventory levels, or does it? Well, does it ask any questions of me about my current inventory?
No.
Does it ask any questions at all about my business prior to my purchasing?
No.
Does it ask how many customers I might have, or any information about the number of customers I might have?
If you log in, you'll have a report that you have access to, and that would just show your customers. But if you're asking the question, does the system ask the retailer? No.
So other than the number of units available, is there anything else that could potentially limit how much an IFR purchases through Exigo?
Now it's pretty.
I'm going to check this to form.
It's what's available for sale is what the retailers can purchase, and if depending on how many retailers are purchasing, certain styles may sell out and may take days or weeks to replenish from the supply chain.
So we were just talking about Exigo. In the Audrey days, were there any restrictions on how much an IFR could purchase other than availability?
No.
And similarly, no, the system wouldn't ask or solicit any information from the IFR prior to a purchase.
No.
So I want to turn and walk through a little bit about the process of when an IFR sells product to a customer, particularly what information is captured by currently Bless. So if I understand correctly, I'm an IFR. I can use Bless to process a transaction with a retail customer. Is that right?
Yes, you can sell to the end consumer if you did an in-home party, or you can send a customer an invoice if it was a live sale. And in addition to, the retailer has a website, a dedicated website where they can post their inventory and have consumers shop to their website and check out through a shopping cart.
Okay, so it sounds like there's at least three potential scenarios. In-person pop-up, and with that transaction,
That's through a credit card reader.
credit card reader. So I plug in a swiper to my phone, essentially, and then you swipe the card.
That is correct.
So the information that's captured, obviously, is the credit card. Does the IFR need to capture any other information from the customer? Names, addresses, kind of that type of thing?
The basic minimum is the email address of the customer. If they want to be, if they just want they can allow any customer to shop. The minimal information, it could be an email address or a guest checkout, which is still an email address.
I see. And then you said for live sales, an invoice could be sent. I assume that means because there isn't the ability to swipe their card, right?
Correct.
And so what information would the IFR have to get after the live sale from the customer?
Just the customer email address to generate the invoice, and then send it via email. And then the customer will click on the link to a secure payment site and enter their credit card information and billing address, zip code, and then complete the checkout.
And then for the website, you mentioned a shopping cart. What information does the customer provide through the shopping cart?
The same as a standard e-com site where the consumer selects items or an item or items, puts it in a shopping cart, and enters their billing info and CVV to check out.
So does the website require an email to be provided also?
Yes, because it'll be the email address of the customer, their shipping address, and then the billing information for the credit card to authenticate.
Okay. Now, turning back to the in-person sale, what would happen if the customer wanted to pay with cash or check?
They can take a cash order, a cash sale. It's manual on the point of sale. So on the mobile app, they will just treat it as a cash sale, and it'll be clearly defined that it's a cash sale.
And what does that mean, manual?
Meaning on the instead of using a credit card swipe, the retailer will generate the manual, will pull up the interface on their app and then select that it's a cash sale, and then enter the information for that customer to process the sale.
And will the end customer also be providing their email for a cash transaction?
Not that I'm aware of. I can't recall what information is captured during a cash sale from a customer standpoint.
And then is a check the same thing as cash, essentially the same process?
Yes.
What about something like Square or PayPal? Would it also be treated as cash, a cash transaction?
We don't support Square or PayPal.
So if the IFR chooses to use PayPal, independent of it being supported, would they then be able to go into Bless and report that manually as a cash transaction?
All I will see is a cash sale. I won't know if the retailer received it as a PayPal or another payment method.
When Audrey, so we've been talking about Bless. In the Audrey days, just were any of these processes different?
Yeah, Audrey was unique, just to put it in perspective.
Okay, and so let's start with in-person sales. What would happen when an IFR would try to use Audrey, or how would an IFR use Audrey to make an in-person sale?
Objection form.
There was no mobile app, or it was all driven through a browser from the IFR. Audrey was clunky and had a lot of bugs. So in the simplest term, the IFR had to use the browser to connect, to basically process the sale for the customer. And it was treated, if it was a cash or a credit card. There was no credit card reader. It was the customer had to enter the information in the browser.
Okay, so it's almost like everything is by website, right? Earlier we're talking about person, invoice, and website. In the Audrey world, everything is basically through a browser.
Correct. Even though they had an in-home party, the IFR will have a computer or some type of laptop with a browser for the customer to enter the information.
And what information was entered?
Same, the billing address of the credit card and the customer name. I don't know all the specifics because the platform was just not stable.
And did they provide their email address? Is that required?
Not that I'm aware of, to be honest.
I have just a few more systems to cover. Very, very early on, you mentioned something called Domo as being an interface in which LuLaRoe employees can draw data from multiple databases. Is that fair?
All Domo is just a business intelligence tool. So we just connect to the database and provide the data, and then you can configure your reports within Domo.
And
It's a reporting dashboard, kind of simplest term.
how long has LuLaRoe used it?
Good question. Probably late 2016. I can't recall the official month and date.
Is there a company that sells this, is it fair to call it software?
The software vendor is Domo. That's the name of the software.
I see. And what is the actual software called?
Domo, D-O-M-O.
Oh, so the vendor and the software are called the same thing?
Yeah.
And what did LuLaRoe use before Domo?
Spreadsheets.
And you said it connects to databases. What databases does it connect to?
It's basically our to our retail database and our wholesale database.
So when you say wholesale database, do you mean NetSuite?
No, that's the Exigo. Sorry.
Okay. And then retail would be Bless, right?
Correct.
Okay. I've also seen a term called POSSIM, POSIM. If you know, what is that?
That's retail. That's the company name, Retail Success. The Possum is point of sale inventory management.
Seeing the term hub seems to refer both to a physical space and possibly software. Is that right?
Repeat your question. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what is the hub?
Oh, the hub, the building.
Okay, so that's a physical building.
Yes, that was the building. That was our warehouse building called the hub.
Can it refer to any sort of system or software?
It was a physical building.
Okay, got it. I've also seen either a company or an entity called Squire. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah,
That's a
Sorry.
it's a vendor. It supports our finance team on taxes, audits. They helped us with the ERP NetSuite implementation.
What do you mean NetSuite implementation?
When we subscribed with NetSuite Oracle, Squire was the channel partner to help us with the implementation from migrating from QuickBooks to NetSuite.
I'd like to turn to a slightly different topic and talk about how documents are managed at LuLaRoe. You mentioned early on that it's cloud-based. Does that mean that there are no sort of shared network drives that people use to store material?
No, I mean, because we use Google as our enterprise system for mail, and as for servers, we don't have physical servers. So from a drive location, if it's in their email or their Google Docs, it'll be in that same platform.
Does everyone who works for LuLaRoe have a Google Drive folder, lack of a better term?
If they use it, top of my head, I'm not sure who has access, who has an active Drive account.
I see. So everyone has a Drive account, may or may not be active in it.
Correct.
And does LuLaRoe issue its employees computers?
Yes. For office personnel, yes.
Are those PCs or Macs?
Depends on the user's request. If it's in marketing, most likely it'll be a Mac. If it's a financial or warehouse employee, it's going to be a PC.
does LuLaRoe issue its employees mobile devices?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Does LuLaRoe allow its employees to access their work email and their Google Drive with their personal mobile device?
We will distribute the company provided device. So in other words, if they have a laptop, it's provided by us.
Okay. So I see. So that's laptops. What about phones?
Phones, depending on the employee.
So some employees get company issue phones?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, my phone I just port my phone number with LuLaRoe.
Okay. So your phone is it's your own phone, right?
Right.
Are you able to access your work email and your work Google Drive on it?
Yes.
Does the company also use Box for cloud storage?
Yes.
Does every employee have a Box drive?
No.
What determines if an employee has a Box drive or not?
Box is licensed by each user, and mainly it's used for finance purposes. So I have an account mainly to upload invoices to my Box folder for finance to process and remit payments of those invoices. So that's really what we use it for.
Why is Box used by finance rather than Google Drive?
Good question. I think we just went with that integration, which was the easiest.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that, I'll strike that. Do LuLaRoe employees use iMessage to communicate with each other on their computers?
If they have an iPhone or some type of Mac device and they have it enabled, they can use iMessage.
A few more sort of terms that I've heard that I would like to know if you know anything about. Have you ever heard of the term Help Scout?
Yes.
What is Help Scout?
We don't use it anymore, but that our case management system that I inherited when I came on board.
What is a case management system?
A ticketing service. So when you call for support, you have an email generated ticket related to an issue.
And so it was there when you started. When did it get phased out?
When we migrated to Salesforce.
When was that?
I'm going to say sometime in 2018. Maybe early 2018, late 2017. I can't recall.
So if I called in, I would get some sort of case number. Is that fair?
Repeat that. I'm sorry.
So if I called in to customer support, I would get a ticket or a case number. Is that right? Under Help Scout?
There'll be some type of case number assigned to that customer request.
And where is that case number stored in LuLaRoe? Is there a
Jack.
document?
I'm sorry. I'm Jack.
Go ahead.
So all it is just a retailer will log in, open a case, with Salesforce, they'll just open a case and they will select the specific department that they're trying to open a ticket with. It could be a system related issue. It could be related to fundraising. It could be related to warehouse for ordering. It depends on which bucket they choose. And then there's a ticket or case number recorded of that customer's request.
And where is that recorded?
Salesforce.
In Salesforce. Before Salesforce, where was it recorded?
Help Scout or other platforms that they had post before Help Scout.
And so there's either a Salesforce database or a Help Scout database of essentially ticket numbers and issues.
Depending on the case, yes. If it was recorded, yes.
Okay. I've also seen a term called golden ticket. Does that have any meaning to you?
I've not heard of that.
What about LMS litness, LITNIS?
Yeah, that's a learning management system. That was just a portal for training videos there was content that marketing had from a training perspective. But we ended that subscription late last year.
Okay. So it was a subscription for trainings provided by a third party?
Actually, it wasn't provided by a third party. It was just content that was created by marketing, any type of training material related for retailers, and it was hosted in that Litmus platform. But I ended up pulling the plug because of the minimal use.
And by minimum use, you could see metrics on how many people were viewing these trainings using LMS litness?
That I don't know, because I wasn't the admin of the platform.
Well, what did you mean when you said it was being minimal used?
It was just, to me, it was just an expense that was just sitting there with very low activity, no engagement.
When that subscription ended, were those trainings made available somewhere else?
They weren't in the platform, so they're probably hosted from marketing somewhere.
So you're saying that even when you had LMS litness, marketing would host it and it would be kind of contained within marketing?
Yeah, it was probably a URL that they can click and then watch a video, but it wasn't. All Litmus was just a framework of step 1, step 2, whatever the cadence was for that specific training material.
I'm trying to get at where the training material itself would have been stored. Would it have been stored at LuLaRoe?
I don't know.
Who would know?
It's marketing. I mean, whoever runs it's marketing's content.
So who leads marketing?
That was at the time. That was Justin that was managing the department.
Okay. Last term. Sandbox, does that have a meaning at LuLaRoe?
Yes, it depends on what the question is.
Well, what could it mean?
From a technical term, a sandbox environment is from what we use in our development is where we do development to a sandbox environment and test it prior to promoting it to a live production database.
So is it, how do you do the testing?
Well, again, it depends on what the request is. I mean, a simple scenario is if we're doing a feature in the back office for Exigo, we have a sandbox environment where we can test the feature within the shopping cart in that sandbox environment to make sure that it passes, that there's no issues with the integrations. And we go through a UAT, it's a user acceptance test. And if things pass, then we set a scheduled date for production to promote it to a live environment. Sandbox is just a testing environment for development.
For what?
For development, sorry.
Okay.
And is it used for developing, so it sounds like it's used for developing new technological features. Is it used at all to develop revised leadership bonus plans?
I didn't, yeah, I missed a word in there. Is it used at all to develop what?
Revised or new versions of the leadership bonus program?
Yes, it can, but again, that's managed through compliance with Austin and any developers that are engaged on the requirements.
Okay. I'm going to turn a little bit to data and see if your department has any role in tracking or compiling this data.
Before you start that,
Sure.
I need to just mute for a minute, and I promised I would check something with the deponent. It'll take just 2 minutes.
Sure.
Mute yours, will you?
Do you want to go off the record?
I think so. Just take 2 minutes.
Could I get a time check while we're paused here?
Are we off the record?
I think we are.
Okay, we're off. Do you want me to go off the video record?
Sure.
All right, going off the record, the approximate time is 4:12 p.m.